Laura Janusik, Professor and McGee Chair of Communication at Rockhurst University in Kansas City, Missouri, right smack dab in the middle of the United States. And I'm here to bring you tip number 5 in the International Listening Association's series, The Top 10 Listening Tips. And the International Listening Association, or the ILA, is doing this for 3 reasons. First, we want to help people understand better what listening is. Second, we want to help you become a better listener. And third, we'd like to encourage you to participate in the International Day of Listening, which is on September 21st, 2017. Tip number 5, listen to understand, not to respond. That's not easy. So often we listen to the speaker and we know what we want to say, so we quit listening. That's not good. Let's look at this through 3 different ways. So first of all, let's better understand what listening is. It may come as a surprise to you to know that listening scholars do not agree on one definition of listening, but we do agree that there are 2 components that face-to-face listening involves, and those are that listening is cognitive and listening is behavioral. Listening is cognitive means that it takes place in your brain. We as listeners have the responsibility to make meaning of the words that we're listening to. So that would be listening comprehension, and that's akin to reading comprehension. I don't know about you, but I hated the subject of history when I was in high school. And I remember the teacher would say, go home and read chapter 4. And I would go home and I would look, and chapter 4 had 30 pages. And I would sit down and I would open the book, and I know I read every single word in that chapter. And I would shut the book and I would say, that was the stupidest thing I ever read. I didn't learn anything. But I didn't realize that as a reader, it was my responsibility to make meaning of the words that I was reading. And that's even more difficult to do with listening. But it's our job as listeners and our responsibility as listeners to make meaning of what the speaker is saying. So often, though, we want to respond because we know what we want to say, so we quit listening, and that speaker's voice kind of sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher. Womp, 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 womp. Perhaps we don't interrupt the speaker because we think that that would be rude, but it's even equally, if not more rude, to not listen fully to what the speaker is saying. So listening is cognitive. It takes place in our brain. Listening is also behavioral, and we show listening to the other person through our nonverbal and our verbal communication. The nonverbal communication is easy. That's the eye contact, the head nods, the facial expressions. But we also show it through our verbal communication, how we reply back to the speaker. So we can actually show the speaker that we've understood them fully before we respond. And we can do this by looking at the second point of this video: how can we help you become a better listener? The skill or strategy that I'd like to offer to you is called confirming. And confirming is a really powerful skill. It's a 2-part skill. When you confirm, you have to paraphrase in your own word what the speaker said. And then secondly, you have to ask if you're right. And then you have to wait for them to agree that you've understood them before you can respond to them. So for example, if I was in a meeting and the speaker was talking about a project that we have that's coming up and all of the different things that need to be done, before I can ask my question about that project, I would have to confirm. So it could sound something like this. So if I understand you correctly, you're saying that in order to get this project done by this deadline, we have to do this, this, and that. Is that correct? Did I hear you right? And only if the speaker says yes, am I then able to add what I want to add to that discussion. Confirming is a really powerful skill. It's actually, through research, shown to be the #1 skill that physicians can use to increase trust in their patients. And it's also the #1 skill that FBI negotiators use to bring a hostage negotiation to a peaceful resolution. So that's pretty powerful. And the great news is that you can walk away and start using it today. and that's pretty cool. Let's look then at how you might be able to take this tip number 5, listen to understand, not to respond, and use it on the International Day of Listening this year, September 21st, 2017. I've got 2 ideas for you. First, you can make a phone call to somebody that you care about who needs to be listened to. And as you're listening to them, use that skill of confirming. Because they can't see your nonverbals in the telephone call, it will make them know that you are listening to them. The other thing that you can do is host a listening cafe. Invite a small group of friends to a local restaurant and tell them that there are 2 rules in practicing your listening. Number 1, no cell phones, and number 2, you all have to listen to each other. And then use that skill of confirming to show the speaker that you've understood what they've said. As David Augsburger, the author, has said, the feeling of being listened to is so close to the feeling of being loved that most people can't tell the difference. So tip number 5, listen to understand, not to respond. Go out and happy listening.